Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name's Shadowwraith, and today I'm going to be talking about how I play Death Guard at the moment, and I'll call it the Fortress, alright? It's a Fortress build. For me, that's what I go for. Basically, how do I get Death Guard to do what they do best? Now, what do Death Guard do best? This is what I think before I play any army. What are their strengths? Well, in 9th edition, Death Guard's strength is, holding the centre, getting to the centre of the board, and sitting on objectives. Okay? I've spoken briefly of my strategies, but a couple of things has changed. Okay? Mainly, Plague Marines are going up to 2 wounds. I think it's 20% point increase, which is fine, because I'm getting, double the amount of points of how many hits I can take. But that is incredible. Great news. The toughest army has just become even tougher, in my opinion. Some people think Necrons are tougher, but they can go away. It's all about Death Guard, okay? Yeah. Papa Nurgle's where it's at. So, what do I do? Well, it's really simple, really, okay? I like running 20 Plague Marines, okay? And everyone's like, oh, no, what about Blast? What about Blast, Shadowwraith? I don't care about Blast, okay? I got Plague Marines, they're tough as nails, and B, you won't have to worry too much about that. Because of the Fortress. Now, what the Fortress is, and there's different ways of playing this, but I get my blob of 20 Marines, and they've all got bolt guns. That's it, just bolt guns. Cheap as they can be, okay? They're like 18 points each at the moment. So, if we put the 20% tax on, we're looking at about 22 points a model, rounding up, okay? That's not too bad. 4 points increase for an extra wound. I'll take that. Absolutely any day. But that's as cheap as I can make them, and that's how I'm going to keep them. So I'm rolling with. We're gonna go ahead of the time. Let's say they've got 2 wounds. They're 22 points each now. Okay. So squad of 20 of them is 440 points, which is a lot of money. Well, points, but it's well worth it. If you've watched my other Plague Marine video, you know exactly what I do. But I'll give a quick overview of what I do. So, you can go as strat heavy as you want, or you can keep it to a minimum. But the main things you need is to turn your bolt guns into plague weapons. Whether that is with a Plague Splitter Relic, which is basically a bolt pistol. If you score a hit on an enemy unit, every attack that targets that unit counts as being done by a plague weapon. Perfect. No CPs for that. But we do have a stratagem. For 1 CP, we can stick virulent rounds, on them, and basically use the stratagem in the shooting phase. When a Plague Marines unit from your army is chosen to shoot, until the end of that phase, bolt weapons and equipped with them gain the following ability: Plague Weapon. We all know what Plague Weapons do. Reroll 1s to wound, and a hell of a lot of stratagems roll off Plague Weapons. Okay. When resolving an attack made by a weapon against an infantry unit on an unmodified wound roll of a 6, the AP characteristic of this weapon is -4 for that attack. Fantastic. Terminator killer, Primaris killer. Brilliant. No armor save, mate. Love it. Okay, that's the first thing you want to do. Get them to plague weapons. Then, for 2 CPs, because we have 6, we have over 6 models in the unit, we can then increase their rapid fire. So instead of being rapid fire 1, they go up to rapid fire 2. So, in rapid fire range, which is 18 inches because you're Death Guard, that is, 80 shots? Is my maths right? Yeah. 80 shots, okay? And remember, they're plague weapons now, so you're rerolling 1s to wounds. But you're not only doing that, because your Warlord is going to have the Arch Contaminator Warlord trait, which allows you to reroll all failed wounds when you're wounding with a plague weapon. And if you want to add 6 inches to the range of your weapons, you can give them, I think it's Overwhelming Generosity for 1 CP. So you can't do it on Chaos Cultists or Poxwalkers, but you just add 6 to plague weapons. Not melee weapons, but that includes grenades and things like that. So there's another stratagem for grenades, but we're going to stick with bolters to keep it simple for today. And then you can stick Veterans of the Long War if you really want to make them wound on +1. And so on and so on. You can buff them up to high heaven. Okay, so we've got a bunch of buffs on these Marines. These are our killing force, okay? Give them Plague Knives as well. They all come with Plague Knives, so they might as well have Plague Knives, because you can do it in combat as well, pretty much. You can do more as well. You can give them extra attacks and stuff. Then, what you're going to do is you're going to drop Clouds of Flies on them. Basically, it means Death Guard infantry unit, you drop it on one of them at the start of the movement phase, or during the movement phase, sorry, should I say. Enemies can't shoot that unit unless it's the closest visible. And then you screen the hell out of them with whatever you choose. Poxwalkers, vehicles, whatever your list is. I like going with Poxwalkers. I love Poxwalkers because they're annoying. And I like Typhus. But it might not be the most competitive thing to do. I still like Poxwalkers because that's a lot of wounds they have to try and get through, especially if we bring a lot of them. And then they waste all their guns on stinking Poxwalkers whilst you shoot them back next turn. And it literally means they can't shoot you. You stick your characters in there among the Plague Marines behind the Poxwalker screen, and they're buffing the Poxwalkers. Typhus can buff the Poxwalkers with spells. You can make them +1 strength, +1 toughness, and then +1 strength, +1 toughness with Typhus' natural ability. So you've got strength, toughness 5 Poxwalkers. So you're pretty mean in combat as well. So your screen is not naff. And then I do like to bring a Plague Surgeon to reroll 1s for my Disgusting Resilient. But if you're not using Poxwalkers, you can go Mortar Chosen Sons and make your Plague Surgeon even better, where he allows your infantry models to reroll 1s and 2s for Disgusting Resilient. And there's also a stratagem for 2 CP if you put it on a big blob to make them take Disgusting Resilient rolls on a 4+ rather than a 5+. It gets a bit silly, okay? 4+ Disgusting Resilient rolling 1s and 2s, okay? And they're probably like toughness 6 if you really buff them to high heaven. Anyway, that's a fortress. So basically, you're screening your guys. You stick Clouds of Flies on them. So you've got this Death Star unit that can't be shot at, that can't be charged. And you just walk to the centre of the board and sit on the objectives. And that's it. You can get some fast attacks. So bloat drones to fly around, grab different objectives. You can chuck some Nurglings in your list so they can, jump straight on to the objectives. Yeah, there's loads of different things. But the main aim is to get to the centre of the board. Absolutely fantastic. That's just how I do it. Okay, and it seemed to work for me. If you have a list that will absolutely shred this, kudos to you. But it works for me. Okay, absolutely works for me. Everyone is running. What are they? The Poxmonger list. Basically, Demon Engines. They get 4 up in vulnerable save. It gets really silly. You can put Leviathan Dreadnoughts in your list and give them, Contaminated Monstrosity to give them Disgusting Resilience. Yeah, insane. But it's still, it's a very good list, so I get why people do it. People bring Defilers, sticking it on them, and running around. They got 4 up in Vun with Disgusting Resilient and makes them ridiculously hard to shift. So I get it. But I thought I'd chuck something else out there in case you wanted to play something a bit different than that. Because everyone is playing this list. Everyone. So, if you want to be a bit different, you can try the castle. Or the fortress. Or whatever you want to call it. You don't even need to do the fortress. You can still play Poxmongers. And include the fortress if you really want. If you're playing a high enough point game. Because, it's not half your army. It's like a quarter of your army. Sure, but it's a hell of a lot of firepower. And you can still spend the rest on vehicles. Okay? Stick a couple of cheap units in there if you need a battalion, but you're probably not running a battalion anyway if you're running Poxmongers. So, yeah, that's it. That's it, really. Anyway, thank you ever so much for listening to my ramblings. If you enjoyed the video, do hit the like button. And if you can feel Papa Nurgle blessing you with divinity, do consider subscribing, because if he hasn't blessed you with his divinity, he will do. That's a promise from me to you. Anyway, hope you have a fantastic day, even if you don't do either of those things, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.